Morning, Representative Brand. Mr. Marquardt. Please begin.
Yep.
Time is fleeting.
Is somebody from the committee going to move the bill?
No.
No? Okay. All right. Well, sounds good to me. Good morning, everyone. I just wanted to bring attention to my bill, House File 3497 this morning. This bill establishes a new grant program with the Department of Employment and Economic Development to finance child care facilities in Greater Minnesota. It would appropriate $10 million for bonding proceeds and $10 million from general fund for the commissioner to administer the grant program. In Minnesota, we know that there are 40,000 slots that are empty. There are 40,000 kids that don't have child care right now. That means there are parents that can't work. That means there's economy that is still stifled in Minnesota. And so when you talk to people, like I sit on the tax committee, you talk to the city of Warren, Minnesota, who's looking at a local option sales tax for a child care facility. Or if you talk to some of the other representatives, many of whom are signed on to my bill about child care needs across Greater Minnesota, it's easy to understand the need for a funding program like this. So this program itself would provide grants of up to $500,000 for cities, counties, and schools, or joint powers boards that encompass those three entities, for up to 50% of the cost to build, upgrade, or expand child care facilities across the state. This $20 million investment actually represents a $40 million investment, because this is just half of the money that would be provided for child care. The rest would be provided by those schools, those counties, and those cities. And so the $20 million from the general revenue and also from the bonding bill would leverage a $40 million investment across our state. Now I'd like to turn it over to Scott Marquardt, and he can talk a little bit more about the bill.
Thank you, Thank you. Madam Chair and members, my name is Scott Marquardt. I'm a resident of Montevideo, and I'm Vice President of Southwest Initiative Foundation. We serve a region of 18 counties and 2 Native nations, with the corners being Ortonville, Jackson, Laverne, and Litchfield, and we're heavily involved daily in the child care crisis in Greater Minnesota. I'm grateful for the opportunity to be here today in support of House File 3497 to establish and fund this child care facility capital grant program. A huge thank you to Representative Brand and all of the co-authors for introducing this bill to help Greater Minnesota communities address this crisis. You've undoubtedly heard many statistics from your constituents regarding the child care crisis in Minnesota. In our region alone, it's at least 4,000 slots. Child care is the fastest growing economic development issue throughout our region, period. We consistently hear from employers throughout our region, large and small, in all sectors, that the shortage of affordable, quality child care is significantly impacting their ability to attract and retain the workforce they need to compete in the global economy. To us, child care is both a business retention and expansion issue, and an issue impacting entrepreneurship and business startups. Throughout our region, the data is alarming, and there are countless stories of shortfalls throughout all of our communities. This bill provides the critical funding needed to develop innovative and community-based solutions to tackle this crisis. The purpose statement in the bill summarizes the importance so powerfully: to keep or enhance jobs, increase the tax base, and expand or create new economic development by providing child care for workers and their families. This will address the significant upfront investment required to create or expand a child care facility. The costs for land acquisition, pre-design, design, renovation, and construction can all be significant barriers for child care projects. We routinely see 6-digit or 7-digit construction budgets. They're very common throughout Greater Minnesota. By providing this upfront investment to offset costs, this program will help child care enterprises contain costs for families and help the enterprises secure the talent they need to compete in a tight labor market for child care professionals. So it's a win-win for both the facilities, the communities, and their families. I can't say enough that there's no one-size-fits-all solution in Greater Minnesota. I know that's a buzzword, but it's not. If you see one community, you see one community address this issue. Each town must address it with its own resources, its own challenges, its own opportunities, its own assets. This bill, as written, will foster community-driven solutions with all of its eligible list of recipients. As Representative Brand said, cities, counties, school districts are all eligible, and private child care centers, family license providers, and nonprofit providers can all engage under some element. That's huge for us, that all parts of the child care ecosystem can engage. We believe that localized solutions have the best advantages for sustainability and success, and we know that this is going to foster innovation at the local level. Representative Brand talked about leveraging private investment, local philanthropy, in addition to what's statutorily mandated. It's so heartwarming for me in my day job to see how local people are coming together to address this issue. I know time is tight, but travel with me for a moment 2 hours west to Spicer, population 1,200, just north of Wilmer on beautiful Green Lake. In Kandiyohi County, which is my most populous county, they were short well over 700 slots. Spicer was able to leverage $50,000 out of the DEED program. Again, obviously not this one, but out of the DEED program for capital. They raised over $825,000. So when we talk about leverage, it happens on a daily basis out here, and we're confident that more Spicers and more projects like that will be created with this program. Their $50,000 resulted in 82 new slots in a town of 1,200 and brought, 10x to the table, more than that. Another thing I really want to emphasize is the criteria that are in this is so prudent and important to help ensure that the capital's put into projects that will address the most urgent needs and those with the best chances for success. The requirement of a feasibility study to show sustainability, evidence of need, and analysis of costs and economic benefits are all in here. So that's huge. So thank you.
Okay. Representative Erdahl. Quickly.
Yes, quick, best I can answer this question here. Thank you, Madam Chair. First of all, this is another important issue, for, as you've said, for Greater Minnesota. As a broken record, I've said many times here that there are two critical needs, housing and child care in Greater Minnesota, because for our workforce, you can't get people to come and live in Greater Minnesota if they have no place to live and no one to take care of their children. Right. The question is, regarding private involvement in this, private daycares. Mr. Marquardt, you cited that there would be a way for them to do that. What role do you see private daycares playing in this?
Representative Erdahl, Madam Chair. Again, obviously, this is there'll be some pilots that are coming out of this, but even though the primary target may be cities, counties, school districts, et cetera, we see that there could be lease or management agreements with private daycares put into place. We also understand that whether it be under the bond part or the regular grant part, that they could apply for improvement dollars coming in. We're seeing a lot of collaborations, frankly, between private providers, a church, a school district, a nursing home, something like that. So we think they could come in and probably collaborate with the unit of government. And just really hoping this will develop models that we've never even dreamed of happening before. But it is our understanding under the author's intent that they would be eligible either through a collaborative or through a direct award themselves.
Thank you, Mr. Marquardt. Thank you, Representative Brand. Yep. Representative Brand, as I've hinted to other people today that have come and asked for cash, I have had no indications whatsoever that this committee will have cash to consider.